Welcome to Massive Beers. My name is Matt. I am the dude that does all the massive beer stuffs, the beer massifs and the masses of beers. We do beer reviews and all kinds of stuff. We do a lot of different stuff. We do a lot of different beer reviews, everything from hazies to lagers to everything in between. But I do have some favorites. Mystery beers, that'd be a favorite of mine. What else? Tasty beers. A bunch of different ones, but one beer that kind of springs and plucks at the cockles of my heart is old beer. I like old beer, especially old beer that can age well. Combine that with my affinity for finding random shelf turds at decent prices. You have this beer. Yeah, a Bruery beer. It's been a while since we've done a Bruery beer. This is their Mélange 10. I've reviewed a couple of Mélange. I think 6 was my favorite. 8 was awesome. And this is 10. This is at 2015. I don't have my little light up. Let me have my little light up. It always works better when I have my little light up. There we go. So, then there was light. I go like that. Now when I show you the beer, whoa, you can actually see it. See what light does? You can see right there, 2015. So we're talking about a 2015 beer. Hopefully I've shown you the right side. That side. There it is. I was showing you the wrong side. There it is. I'm curious to see how this one lands. Because, the more moving parts in a beer, the more it can go sideways. So just to read you what's on the label here. We have the Bruery, Family Brew. Alcohol 15%, because that's what the Bruery does. It says 2015 edition. It's 60% ale aged in bourbon barrels, 40% ale aged in bourbon barrels with chilies, chocolate, and cinnamon. A lot of moving parts. It's a Hoarder Society competition yielded this South of Border blend of bourbon barrel aged anniversary and barrel aged Old Richland and Ancho Chili's Mexican style chocolate. Hot cha-cha-cha. On the back here, we have Mélange 10 was designed by Hoarder Society members for Hoarder Society members. This barrel-aged specialty is best enjoyed fresh, but may develop pleasantly if cellared properly. Best stored and cellared around 55 degrees Fahrenheit. That would be 13 at C for you metric folks. Celsius metric? I don't know. And it says, in a dark place, ideal serving temperature is 50 F. Best enjoyed with friends and served in a tulip glass. I have no friends, so sorry there. I picked this up for $20 today. It's sat in my little beer fridge here for a couple hours, so it's probably closer to low 50s. I thought that was actually a really great price on an old beer. You're always kind of taking a chance when you're buying old beer off a shelf. Who knows how it was treated? Who knows, it's been picked up and shaked around every year for the past 7 years. But for $20, I want to say this beer probably retailed for more than that when it came out. So for $20, I had to pick it up. And we're going to drink it. And it has these foil tops. I think this is the year they introduced these kind of zebra foil tops, isn't it? It's a little later than that. Because I remember the one year when I won the, remember the lotteries that you used to have to enter to get Bruery beers? I won the Black Tuesday. I won the Black Tuesday lottery. I won the right to give them my money. And it went from, I believe it went from wax tops to these zebra tops. So we'll see. Why am I trying to get that off? Just use the bottle opener. So we'll see. So you're talking about 7 years back. I'm not saying Bruery doesn't make good beers now, but back when the Bruery was the Bruery. And, we'll see how this sucker has aged. Cinnamon and chilies can kind of age out sometimes to the point where they're just non-existent. Chocolate, fine. But cinnamon, I like cinnamon in stouts and barley wine. It comes off very cola-like for me. I'm curious to see how that ages. And chilies, we'll see. A little bit of spiciness. We'll see what's going on. Put that right there. It actually looks quite nice. A lot. You're not going to be able to see this on camera, but a lot clearer than what I expect from a 15% brewery beer, especially one with 7 years on it. Their old ales, more not so much stouts, but old ales tend to be murky and dense. This actually, it looks, cola-like, iced tea-like, but if I hold this up to a light, I can see through it. So for me to see that is kind of like, okay, we'll see how this sucker goes. Lively carbonation on it, so that's nice. So yeah, it's got this really rich, deep mahogany. Think about making like powdered iced tea, put a little bit too much in. That's kind of the color you got going on in this sucker. So let's grab a nose. That smells good. I'm not sure where this is going to go. That cinnamon is lively in this. I'm very, very surprised, at least, how big it is with that 7 years on it. It has this really rich kind of old ale kind of nose to it. A little bit of kind of like sneaking towards a sugar daddy raisinette thing. That's a lot of the breweries. Bigger beers tend to lean more kind of old ale than stouts, even their stouts. So that's where this one kind of leans for me. So it has this definite age portion to show it. There is a non-hot kind of bourbon characteristic, nothing too crazy. And like I said, that cinnamon is really, really coming to a head here. I'm by far and away most surprised that that's really kind of rearing its head with this age. Nice sweetness to it, man. Let's dive in. Cheers. That's tasty. I poured too much in my glass, by the way. I did not anticipate drinking that much of this beer. I figured I'd put one of these corks on it, maybe. This is Father's Day weekend. I figured I'd open this on Friday night and just pour a little here, pour a little there, and just kind of sip on this over the weekend. I literally poured like a full glass of it because I'm a dumb. It's definitely lost something in carbonation. Even though it looks like it has like a nice kind of like lively kind of carbonation to it, it is a little bit on the flatter side of things. Not that these 15% behemoths from the brewery tend to be like sprightly carbonated, but I would think it had better carbonation to it, and I hoped it would. It's not flat, but like I said, a little bit of extra carbonation on these bigger beers tends to open them up quite a bit. It really does come off old ale to me than stout. They just call it's an ale Asian bourbon barrels. I keep calling it a stout. I don't know why I do that. It's probably just a strong ale is what it's classified. So just ignore me being an idiot. And it's really, you can tell that the chilies were involved. There's this like ghost of chilies fast kind of floating around in there. Not necessarily hotness, but a little vegetal green with a little bit of touch of spiciness, but nothing too crazy. That cinnamon, bigger on the nose than it is in the taste. It's still there in the taste. It does come off as kind of weakened cinnamon, not like that cola thing that I was talking about, but I like it. The chocolate here is kind of cool in the way that it seems like it's like almost like the glue. It holds the whole thing together. Because I think without the chocolate, and it's not big, it's almost like a white chocolate in the way it comes off for me. Not nearly as sweet, but like a kind of a muted kind of milk chocolate, maybe. And in that I think if that chocolate was in there, it would be a little bit of spiciness, a little bit of cinnamon, and then like more of like that strong ale kind of vibe. I think when you add or have that chocolate in there, it kind of bridges all those together and makes it a little bit more cohesive. It's really tasty. The biggest thing I would say is lost here is kind of just like a barrel character. I do get some sweet bourbon on it. Nothing overly hot, especially considering that's a bourbon barrel aged 15%. I keep saying 15. Is it 14 or 15? It's 15. Does Bruery even make a 14% beer or less? It's more of like a sweet bourbon as opposed to like a bourbon barrel aged bourbon. It's missing a tannic wood. It's missing a barrely char. But all that being said, I think it's aged quite gracefully. Especially the adjuncts in here. It's the first things I assumed would be they would disappear or turn a little bit left or something that wasn't a positive for the beer. But drinking this and going into it, is it past prime? Probably. Is it a bad beer? Not by any stretch of the imagination. It's a fun beer, and honestly, well worth for $7.50 of this for $20. The experience in and of itself is infinitely worth it. So yeah, I'm glad I picked it up. It was a fun one to do. It's been a while since I've just sat and done a big beer like this by myself, and like I said, being Father's Day weekend, I was like, kind of makes sense. So yeah, I dig it. I think it's fun. I think the beer portion of the show held up really well, and it's aged gracefully. Those adjuncts had stood the test of time. The peppers, not so much, but you can get them. You understand where they were and what they were. And that cinnamon's held court. And just, the bourbon is nice. I just want a little bit more barrel charred, but you're talking about 7 years down the road, multiple layers, multiple adjuncts in a beer. It's held up quite nice. And like I said, $20, a steal. Is one of the better barrel-aged beers I've had as late? Sure. It's not towards the top. It's not Mount Rushmore, but it's tasty, and I'm glad I picked it up. And let's talk about it. Have you had this beer when it was fresh? Have you had it when it was old? Have you had it recently? Those are the conversations you want to have. Let me know your thoughts on the brewery, too. I don't drink a lot of brewery beers anymore. Not that I can't get them. It's just, I don't drink stuff like that, like this, that often. So it's one of those things where, yeah, where do you sit when it comes to the brewery nowadays? Where do they line up in your totem pole as far as beers that you covet and beers that you drink and a whole kind of stuff? Down there, let's talk about it. So there you go. A little bit of shelf turd aged beer in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hope to see you next time. Cheers, y'all.